Let's get right into it. Number 10. Caligula declares war on the sea. Picture this. You're a tough Roman soldier, trained for years in combat. You've fought barbarians, wild animals, and probably your drunk uncle that one time. Then your boss tells you today's enemy is the ocean. Not kidding. This actually happened in 39 AD, when Emperor Caligula decided that his next big enemy was water. Not a navy, not sea monsters, just regular old waves splashing on the beach. He lined up his best soldiers along the shore and ordered them to stab the water. Just think about it. Imagine being one of those soldiers, trying to look tough while sword fighting with waves that keep coming back for more. After this epic battle against H2O, Caligula declared victory, because apparently, the ocean surrendered. Then he ordered his soldiers to collect seashells as spoils of war. These weren't special seashells either, just regular beach shells. So these battle-hardened warriors had to do a beach cleanup, picking up shells like kids on vacation. Imagine being one of those soldiers writing home. Dear Mom, great news. We defeated the ocean today. I got you some shells. This wasn't even Caligula's weirdest decision as emperor. This is the same guy who tried to make his horse a political consul, because nothing says stable government like having a horse in charge. Number 9. The Berners Street Hoax. Imagine pulling the biggest prank in history with nothing but some paper and a pen. That's exactly what Theodore Hook did in 1810, when he bet his friend he could make any house in London the most famous address overnight. He picks 54 Berners Street, home of poor Mrs. Tottenham, who has no idea what's about to hit her. Hook then spends 6 weeks writing thousands of letters. Each letter tells a different person to show up at that address on the same day. He sends them to everyone from chimney sweeps to the Duke of Gloucester himself. Then comes November 27th, the day of absolute chaos. At 5 a.m. sharp, a dozen chimney sweeps show up at the door. Right behind them, wedding cake makers arrive with massive cakes. Then come piano delivery men hauling pianos. Then doctors rushing to fake emergencies. Then undertakers with coffins made to measure. The street turns into complete mayhem. Even the Lord Mayor of London shows up because he got a letter saying there was some kind of emergency. Poor Mrs. Tottenham is losing her mind. She keeps telling everyone she didn't order anything, but they all have letters saying they need to be there. The crowd gets so big that the police can't control it. The whole neighborhood is completely stuck. Meanwhile, Hook is watching everything from a window across the street, probably crying with laughter. This guy created a viral prank 2 centuries before social media was even a thing. Number 8. The War of the Stray Dog. Imagine starting a war because your dog ran away. That's exactly what happened between Greece and Bulgaria in 1925. A Greek soldier's dog decided to go on an unauthorized international adventure and crossed into Bulgaria. The soldier chased after his furry friend into Bulgarian territory. And that's when things got messy. Bulgarian border guards opened fire and killed the soldier. Greece demanded an apology. When Bulgaria said no, Greece literally invaded them. They sent their whole army to occupy a Bulgarian town called Petric. Imagine being a citizen of Petric waking up one morning to find your town occupied because of someone else's runaway dog. The League of Nations had to step in like a tired parent breaking up a playground fight. They made Greece pull their troops back and actually pay Bulgaria for the damage they caused. So Greece basically started a war over a dog, lost the war, and had to pay the people they attacked. The dog, by the way, nobody knows what happened to it. It probably lived a happy life, completely unaware it almost started World War 1.5. Number 7. NASA's metric system mix-up. Imagine spending $125 million on a spacecraft, sending it on a 10-month journey across space, and then losing it because someone forgot to convert inches to meters. That's exactly what happened to NASA's Mars Climate Orbiter in 1998. NASA had 2 teams working on this project. One team was using the metric system, like most of the world, but the other team was using the American system. It's like 2 chefs trying to make the same recipe, but one's measuring in cups while the other's using milliliters. So when one team sent data in pounds of force, the other team's computer read it as newtons of force. Nobody caught this mistake. For months, the spacecraft ended up flying way too close to Mars's atmosphere. When it reached Mars, instead of gracefully sliding into orbit, it basically belly flopped into the Martian atmosphere. Imagine throwing a paper airplane into a wood chipper. That's pretty much what happened to this $125 million piece of equipment. These rocket scientists, who can calculate the trajectory of a spacecraft millions of miles away, forgot to do their unit conversion homework. It's like burning down your house because you confused Celsius with Fahrenheit on the oven. Number 6. The Tanganyika laughter epidemic. Imagine being in class one day and suddenly you can't stop laughing. Not just a little chuckle, but full-on, tears streaming down your face, belly-hurting laughter. Now imagine this lasting for days. This actually happened in 1962 at a girls' boarding school in what is now Tanzania. It started with just 3 girls who burst into uncontrollable laughter during class. Then the laughter started spreading like a virus. Within days, 95 out of 159 students were caught in endless laughing fits. These girls were laughing for hours, sometimes up to 16 days straight. The school had to shut down because, well, try teaching math to a room full of hysterically laughing teenagers. But closing the school didn't stop it. The laughter jumped to other schools like some kind of comedy plague. Soon, 14 schools had to close down. The laughing epidemic spread through villages covering a 100-mile radius. Over 1,000 people were affected by this mysterious laughing bug. Some people would laugh so hard they'd start crying, then faint, then wake up and start laughing again. Their bodies basically forgot how to do anything else except laugh. The whole thing lasted 18 months. That's right, a year and a half of unstoppable laughter. And just like that, the epidemic eventually just stopped. Nobody died, nobody got hurt. They just stopped laughing. To this day, nobody knows exactly what caused it. Number 5. The Pig War. It's 1859, and the United States and Britain almost went to war over a pig. This whole mess started when an American farmer named Lyman Cutler found a pig munching on his potatoes. Now, most people would try shooing the pig away, maybe put up a fence, but Lyman went straight to the nuclear option and shot the pig. Turns out this wasn't just any pig, though. This was a British pig, owned by Charles Griffin of the Hudson's Bay Company. This petty argument somehow gets kicked up to the British and American governments. The British send 3 warships with 84 guns to the island. The Americans respond by sending 461 soldiers with 14 cannons. So now you've got these 2 massive armies facing each other down over a dead pig, but neither side wanted to look weak by leaving first, so they just stayed there. For 12 years, both armies just chilled on opposite ends of this tiny island, probably waving at each other awkwardly every morning. Finally, they settled it by asking the German Kaiser to decide who owns the island. He picks America, and that's how the Great Pig War ends with exactly one casualty, the potato-loving pig. Number 4. Selling the Eiffel Tower twice. Imagine being such a smooth talker that you could sell someone else's national monument. That's exactly what Victor Lustig did back in 1925. This guy wasn't your average scammer sending emails about Nigerian princes. He was the Picasso of con artists, and the Eiffel Tower was his masterpiece. One day, Lustig's reading the newspaper and sees an article about how expensive it is to maintain the Eiffel Tower. This gave him an idea. So he makes some fake government documents, puts on his fanciest suit, and calls himself a high-ranking official from the Ministry of Posts and Telegraph. Then he invites Paris's top scrap metal dealers to a super fancy meeting at one of the most expensive hotels in the city. He tells them the Eiffel Tower is too expensive to maintain, so the government is secretly selling it for scrap. The genius part is, he tells them it needs to be kept super quiet to avoid public outrage. One dealer falls for it hook, line, and sinker. He not only pays the full amount, but even tries to bribe Lustig to make sure he gets the deal. After successfully selling a national monument he didn't own, Lustig decided to try it again, and he actually tries to sell the Eiffel Tower a second time. Unfortunately for him, the second buyer was a bit smarter and did some fact-checking. Lustig had to run away before the police caught him. The best part is the first buyer was so embarrassed about being scammed that he never even reported it to the police. Number 3. The Tulip Mania. Imagine living in a time where a single flower could buy you a mansion. This actually happened in the 1630s Holland, and the flower wasn't even that special. It was just a tulip. These weren't your average garden variety tulips either. The most valuable ones had these crazy flame-like patterns caused by a virus that infected the bulbs. So basically people were bankrupting themselves to buy sick flowers. People went absolutely nuts for these things. Merchants were trading their shops for tulip bulbs. Farmers were selling their land to buy flowers that hadn't even bloomed yet. Some single bulbs were selling for the equivalent of $750,000 in today's money. That's right, people were trading their houses for what was essentially a fancy onion. The Dutch even created a futures market for tulips, which is just a fancy way of saying they were betting on flowers that didn't exist yet. Most of the people trading tulips had never even seen the bulbs they were buying. Then one day in February 1637, everyone woke up, and just like that, the whole thing collapsed. Suddenly, everyone realized they'd spent their life savings on fancy onions. The Dutch economy was totally fine afterward. It's like the whole country collectively agreed to never speak of their flower-buying fever dream again. Number 2. The Great Diamond Hoax of 1872. Imagine pulling off a scam so epic that you fool America's richest people, the founder of Tiffany & Company, and even professional diamond experts. Two cousins from Kentucky, Philip Arnold and John Slack, showed up in San Francisco with bags full of uncut diamonds. They started whispering about finding a massive diamond mine somewhere in the Wild West. Here's the kicker. They had actually bought these diamonds from Europe for cheap. Then they went to the middle of nowhere, dug some holes, and sprinkled the diamonds around. They convinced Charles Louis Tiffany himself, the Tiffany, to look at their stones. It's like getting Gordon Ramsay to taste test McDonald's and convince him it's fine dining. The whole thing fell apart when a geologist named Clarence King got suspicious. He noticed the diamonds were arranged too perfectly, like someone had scattered them there on purpose. When the truth came out, America's elite were so embarrassed they tried to keep it quiet. The cousins walked away with the modern equivalent of $20 million and were never caught. Number 1. Operation Acoustic Kitty. So picture this. It's the 1960s, the height of the Cold War, and some genius at the CIA has a brilliant idea. Hey, what if we turn cats into spies? And instead of laughing this person out of the room, the CIA actually went, you know what? Let's spend $20 million on that. Their plan was to surgically transform ordinary house cats into walking, purring surveillance devices. They installed a tiny microphone in the cat's ear, a radio transmitter in its skull, and wove an antenna through its fur. The idea was that these cyborg cats would casually stroll up to Soviet officials, eavesdrop on their conversations, and beam everything back to CIA handlers. Because apparently nobody at the CIA had ever owned a cat before. If they had, they'd know that cats don't exactly follow instructions. They spent months training their first feline spy for its big mission. The big day arrives. They release their specially modified spy cat near a Soviet target in a Washington, D.C. park. It immediately wanders into traffic and gets hit by a taxi. Just like that, $20 million worth of spy equipment and 5 years of research flattened by a yellow cab. But eventually they had to admit that maybe cats aren't the best choice for covert operations. The project was officially shut down in 1967. The official CIA report basically said, yeah, turns out cats are gonna cat. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.